Dida, hello and welcome again to Kroeder Kroghen. Wel, yma gennyf yn studio heddiw Myrna Cymbelec Harris, nebu sgrifeniadau academic and fundians studdianzo Kernewek, the Institute of Cornish Studies. Myrna, what is the Institute of Cornish Studies?
Well, it's not a department of the County Council and it's not a department of the University of Exeter, but it's something stuck in between them. It is looked after by both of them, and financially and in every other way, and it's sort of maintained and kept up by both of them jointly. It has a council of its own, and it has an academic board which is responsible to its council.
And what does the Institute actually do?
Well, it does different things at different times. Now, basically, we have two secretaries who are there full-time. We have an academic secretary who's there all the time. It's me, and we have Oliver Pardle, the Place Names Fellow, who is there all the time, and we have Professor Thomas, who is our director. In the midst of all that, and running alongside that, are very many different projects which come into the Institute and sometimes go away again. We have the world-famous CBRU, the Biological Records Unit, which started in Trevenston House and then went out to Murdoch House and has come back in again and belongs to us. They have over 1 million records. They're becoming computerized now and really are the finest in Europe.
This is the Cornish Biological Records Unit, and they're recording the flora and fauna of Cornwall, am I?
That's right, yes. They're recording everything, and of course this is useful for scientific purposes of all kinds, especially now as the world becomes more scientifically oriented. Not just conservation these days, but genetic engineering. Things need to be known about the environment in a very sort of careful and studied way.
Now, as the name suggests, since it's the Institute of Cornish Studies, is what you're saying that any kind of academic study that has some kind of Cornish connection can take place in the Institute?
That's right. Many projects which belong to other universities too find their way into the Institute, perhaps for a short space of time, and we give them room space and telephone space and help in various ways. And then the reports either come through the Institute or they come through University of Bristol or Leicester or wherever. So some people are with us for some of the time. Others are larger projects which are fed by different government grants or other organisational grants which come to us and then go away again. We have quite a few MSc people doing various projects there. They're all academic projects or environmental projects. Anything which deals with the study of man in his environment in Cornwall is of interest to us.
Can you give us some specific concrete examples of the kinds of studies that have been undertaken in the Institute?
Yes, we've had dialect recording projects which have gone on. Dr. David North was with us for a while, and Adam Sharp. They produced books at the Institute and then went away again and then came back again to do further projects as and when we've been able to find the money and the people.
Talking of that, where does the finance actually come from then?
Well, it can come from almost anywhere. I mean, if you look in any grant funding body, you'll find that we've applied or we've been there or they've come to us saying, can you do this, that or the other. Sometimes individuals will decide that they're going to do something and they will go for the money to do it. We've had MSc projects. MSc people have come to the Institute, and we've been very fortunate. They've been very fortunate too, because many people have found permanent jobs as a result of being in the Institute with us for a while.
And now a question slightly out of the blue. I haven't prepared you for this one. Do you feel that there is a place actually for a university of its own in Cornwall?
Do I think so? Well,
so let me say, do you think so? And then does the Institute have a view? Perhaps there are different answers to the same question.
I think that to have a university in Cornwall, you would need a rather large town to support it. You need dormitories, you need huge catering services. You really need a town to support Cornwall. If you're willing
And you don't think there's one in Cornwall large enough to do that?
No, there isn't. Unless you'd like to join Bodmin and St Austell together, perhaps, or Truro and St Austell. That is just an idea.
But there are other universities in different parts of Britain that aren't campus universities that are well away from large towns, aren't they?
I think you'll find that they are there for a historical reason, or that they are near a centre of population, which can. I mean, finding student rooms, for several thousands of people plus the staff is a tremendous thing. If you suddenly brought a huge higher education institution into Cornwall, you'd have to cope with the fact that the price of housing would zoom up, because there would be so many more people who would be in and around the new university town as it would be. Academically, no, I think it's better to have an Institute of Cornish Studies. If you have a university in Cornwall, then you will have normal university activities. You will have chemistry department, physics department. You'll have all these things which are not directly related to Cornwall. But if you have an Institute of Cornish Studies, that is directly related to Cornwall. And so it's a better thing.
And provides a closer focus and a better service to the Cornish people.
Yes, I mean, we've been told to go out into the public and to bring the public into the Institute, which is what we've been doing more and more during the last few years.
Does that actually happen? Because I would guess that to many people the image of the Institute of Cornish Studies is of a rather austere, lofty and distant institution that doesn't really have much to do with everyday Cornish life. It's an ivory tower, like many academic institutions.
Yes,
is that fair?
Yes, it is very difficult sometimes to know precisely how to stitch into the needs of everyone. If you have an academic who comes to ask specific questions and to see somebody who is competent in linguistics or in place names or in archaeology, then you come to the right place. But if you have someone who is asking about their family history, and they come to the Institute of Cornish Studies, then they're not going to find the sort of information that they can get from the Public Record Office or from Family History Society. And part of our job is, when people ring us up, is to say, yes, you should ask Cornwall Society, or you should ask, yes, the archaeology people at Truro, at County Hall. Part of our job is directing people to the right place. If you come to us and say, I want to see a book on a certain thing, if the staff have it, they'll let you see it. But if not, then we have to direct you to Redruth Public Library or the Royal Institution, the great Cornish libraries.
Yes. So you see essentially the future of the Institute as being concentrating on its Cornish identity and specifically Cornish role.
Yes, I think really we try to aid and abet anything which is Cornish and which tries to help Cornwall in whatever way it can. Academically, I think we've done a great deal for Cornwall in our quiet way.
Do you mean by making Cornwall more respectable to other academic institutions?
Yes, I think so. I mean, particularly with the Cornish language, there was a great deal of poo-pooing 10 or 15 years ago amongst academics. The Cornish language doesn't exist anymore, does it? It's dead, isn't it? And the fact of having an Institute of Cornish Studies there has made a lot of difference, I think. I think it's given a little bit of academic respectability to what's been going on. And of course, because we're there, the people who really speak the Cornish language and who really have brought it along, the Cornish Language Board and the people who've been attached to it, the teachers and the students, they've all been stitched into the Institute and therefore stitched into the great universities, the Celtic universities, and it's done nothing but good, really.
Well, as a member of the Language Board, I'll say Muras, thank you very much, and more power to your elbow. Thank you, Myrna. Muras. Myrna Cumbelak-Harris of the Institute of Cornish Studies, Muras Myrna. And just one notice to give you before I go, and that is that Kernewek, the Cornish Language Centre, is holding a Cornish Language Fun School from the 25th to the 27th of February, specifically for school children, aged between 8 and 16. The purpose of the fun school, or course I suppose you could call it, is to help children in that age range to improve their working knowledge of the spoken language by taking part in everyday activities in Cornish, including cooking and so on, as well as games and activities and more structured classes. If you are interested, the cost of the 3 days with full board is £15 per person, though there will be a small number of assisted places for those with genuine financial difficulties, and the cost for 2 or more children from the same family is only £10 a head. And full details of that Cornish Language Fun School from the 25th to the 27th of February can be obtained from Kernewek, or the Cornish Language Centre, Tregarn, Cysgarn, Trura. Tregarn, Cysgarn, Trura. A hen you all ragan saith ma, Muras the all, had do ganahwi. God be with you, do ganahwi.